right, everybody, we're coming back from the break. It's called the Business to Business Network Show. My name is Rex Perry. Back in 1999, we came up with this idea of once a week doing a business show, but talking business, politics, and economics. The economy is tied to what decisions are made by the legislature, by your city, by the federal government. And we have a tendency to focus a lot of energy on the presidential campaign, but in reality, it's the congressional campaigns, it's the citywide campaigns, it's the mayors. These are the people that really affect our lives. And our guest is Ramon. Ramon, give us your last name. Introduce yourself, please.
Yes, it's Ramon Perez from Digital Democracy Project.
And again, your background, your military background. Where did you serve? What did you do?
So I was an Air Force officer. I served did deployments in Iraq and Afghanistan. I did a tour in Korea. I also lived in South America. I lived in Europe. I voted during presidential elections from overseas on more than one occasion. And so I sort of lived the experience of how difficult it can be sometimes to get a paper ballot through the mail, especially if you're trying to vote in a primary. I had a couple of experiences where the person I was voting for in the primary had dropped out before my ballot arrived, so my vote was wasted. I immediately resonated with this particular problem. So when I heard about being able to vote from your phone, especially for military voters, that made a ton of sense to me.
And again, it's VOATZ, correct?
That's correct. It looks like VOATZ, but it's VOATZ.
Anybody out there hears this, Google this. This is a fantastic cutting-edge idea that could really, by the way, we haven't talked about this, Ramon. Think of the money that could be saved. Think of the time that could be saved.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It is for districts that have incorporated this. A lot of it is because of cost savings. If you don't have to set up all these polling locations and have poll minders and all the process of moving paper ballots around, you're essentially letting people vote from their homes on an app. It's a much less expensive mechanism than our traditional voting systems.
And think of the connection of the congressional representative or the mayor, saying, hey, everybody, here's what we're thinking of doing, and let's get a yes or no vote on this. This is a good direction to go. Hey, everybody, this is the way we solve it. By the way, this really has a potential of undercutting the power of the primary. Because right now, especially in District 3 of Arizona, by the way, I'm a fifth-generation Arizona native. My great-great-grandfather settled St. John's in the 1800s. We were a ranching family. I was born and raised up in Prescott. I've been here for years, obviously, my life. I lived in California for a while, but came back. And here's what's happening. We have a system where you get threatened to be, quote, primaried. And this has been going on even before Trump. And we've had it happen up in Utah. There was Senator Lee that primaried Senator Garn back, this is years ago. And so what's happened is we've had this effort to control the primaries, both red and blue. But there's a lot of pinks and baby blues that are registered as Republicans that would like to support an independent candidate, somebody in the other party, but they just don't have a chance because they get whacked out in the primary. So what you're saying is, if we had this app, and by the way, certain individuals are sick of politics. They really only want to vent. When it comes time for the general election, that's when they're going to vote. And so this is given an opportunity to make it easier. Tell us some of the other benefits of this also, as far as record keeping and being able to track who is voting which way, which direction.
Right. Well, you nailed it, Rex. I mean, I think that I live in Florida, which is a closed primary state. So that means independents can't even vote in those primaries.
Yeah. Arizona.
And the districts are so heavily gerrymandered that you've got almost no competition in the general election. We actually had, in 2024, was the least competitive on record. 94% of our districts were decided by the primary. And we have 3.5 million voters in Florida who had no say in that process and effectively have no voice in the legislature in Tallahassee or in Congress because these districts are drawn to be uncompetitive in a general election. So I think of this as the voting rights crisis of our time, that so many states, and by the way, Democrats do this just as much as Republicans. We're going to see California do it. Virginia is now talking about getting rid of their independent election commission so that they can gerrymander. It's a real crisis, and we're going to now the genie is out of the bottle where we could see this every 2 years. If legislators don't like the results of an election, they'll just redraw the maps all the time, and the voters get shut out of the process because the two political parties have so effectively captured our election system that they don't have to listen to people that they don't want to hear from. And I think that is a real crisis and we're seeing the downstream effects of that when Congress can't do any basic things like even passing a budget without without it being a 5-alarm fire. It's very difficult to have any discussion about politics or even visit your family for Thanksgiving because of all the hyperpartisanship. And all of us are suffering the consequences of what happens when we no longer live we're basically living in an unrepresentative republic. I mean, in theory, it's a republic, but in practice, we've all been kind of cut out of the process by the election system capture. And so I think our particular project was meant to be, when we first got started, it was the problem of gerrymandering. How do you get around that? How do you get people to re-engage in a process that they feel like they're checked out of, that nobody listens to them anymore? Because realistically, that's true. They don't have to. If you're not one of the very small number of primary voters, they don't need to hear from you, and they don't really care about your point of view. So how do we get people re-engaged in the process, and how do we kind of go around all the limitations that have been put in our path? And I think this technology allows us to do that in a really interesting way, because when we ask people about legislation, we find that people don't really fit into this left and right dichotomy.
Yeah.
That is mostly an artificial construct that's been pushed onto us by a two-party system. If we had 5 political parties, the media would talk about things in 5 political points of view. It's because we have a two-party system, everybody is told, oh, your opinion is either left or right, and that's just not reality. People make their opinions up based on their own life experiences and what they think is best for their communities, and they can hold 2 ideas in their heads at the same time. They might take a position that's left-wing on guns and right-wing on healthcare. Who knows what? I mean, that is not uncommon for individual human beings to think that way. And we wanted a mechanism where they can actually express themselves in the way that they naturally think, rather than being kind of stuck in this party label.
Excellent. Now, we got about 60 seconds left here, and I want to emphasize this is another example of where technology is able to do an end run around the blockers that are trying to stop it. And this is an opportunity for people to register, to get involved, to investigate it so they feel confident. How do they reach you? One more time. How do they reach you? DigitalDemocracyProject.org is our website. You can check us out. Go take a look. You can download the app from there. You can actually vote on the web as well once you're verified. And like I say, we will be carrying Arizona legislation in 2026. So for the upcoming session in January, you'll be able to vote on state level bills as well. Fantastic. And again, votes, VOATZ. And correct. Is that right? VOATC.com is the software that we're using. You are fantastic. We are going to keep pushing this because I feel like we're at a turning point and technology can actually help us. Ramon, thank you so much for being a guest on our show. We got a news at the bottom of the hour we got a break for. My name is Rex Perry. If you missed anything, go to our website. It's simple, 123bz.com. Phone number, email, contact information there, 123bz.com. Stay tuned. We're going to be back after the news. Ramon, thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it, Rex. We're going to do it again. I'll talk to you in January. All right, sounds good. I mean, is there, does this, you said it's going to go out Saturday? Actually, yeah. This is coming up for Saturday. Now, I will get you copies. We upload to YouTube. We get all kinds of stuff. So we are definitely going to be in touch. Great. You'll get copies of all this. Okay, sounds great. Thank you, Rex. Appreciate it. Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay. Bye-bye. I'll go get my guest. Whatever you need to get reelected and to make improvements. We just did a really interesting interview. I'll get you a copy of it
It's an interesting subject. I was
Yeah.
that I'm learning from Rex now. It's really cool.
Technology where they've got a very secure way to vote by phone.
Yeah.
And it's been used in the military.
Uh-huh.
Okay, thanks so much. And now we just got the guy that's helping promote this.
Yeah.
We're going to do an interview with the software designers at VOATZ. And this could help you as a politician.
Well, I'm not really in charge of elections.
Well, no.